Okay, let's see how this one looks. We've done heaps of these before. See if I can make this one come up a treat. Actually, yeah, we're going all the way with a contrast for some reason. So let's see what we have. We have here, Happy Holidays. Oh, it's Easter. I think it's because it's the Easter break. If you look at the back of it, it's all about Easter. They have the stupid eggs and shit. This is the front. We're going to use that. Happy Holidays. Happy Holidays? I wouldn't call it. We've got the coronavirus pandemic happening, so I wouldn't call it Happy Holidays quite. It's not a very nice place in history to have to deal with a pandemic. It's the first time I've had to deal with this shit, and it's not nice. I'm not happy. Even though I hate capitalism, I still hate it when places have to shut or operate in a limited fashion. Like when I go to a coffee shop, I like to dine in at a coffee shop and have my now I've lightened it up heaps. I like to have my coffee at the coffee shop rather than having to take away the coffee. I don't like takeaway. I'm not a fan of takeaway, but I have to because they're not serving, there's no table service anymore. So yeah, it's a real pain in the ass, but that's what's happened. And again, climate change is another contributing factor towards coronavirus, as well as eating exotic wildlife and selling it. So they sell it for a lot of money. It's hard to know. Some people say, someone told me that it was because someone ate bats, and someone else told me because someone ate pangolins that this has occurred. So we don't know why it's happened, but climate change and I think also deforestation has contributed to this. I don't know. I read an article about it on LinkedIn, but I can't remember all the points that say why coronavirus has happened or surmising how it happened. There's a whole lot of different causes, and a lot of it's to do with, again, capitalism, the love of money. And it's just not acceptable that exotic wildlife being used for delicacies like pangolins, for example. So it's not a very good thing. Now this is light for some reason. I don't understand why it's so light. Just see how we go with this. But yeah, it's just really, I'm wondering if we're going to use this. I don't like the Lego there. That's a bit obvious. But basically, yeah, it's not good that things are, that the rich are again, or the black market. But of course, the rich do have a part to play because, hey, if we're cutting down trees or making climate change, that's contributing factor to coronavirus. And we now have a pandemic, and now the rich people are going to lose a lot of money through this fucking corona shit. But the rich are not smart enough. They're probably not going to learn a lesson. Look at the airlines. The airlines are going to go under because no one's flying. There's bans on flying. So we can't fly, and therefore we can't support the tourism industry or the airline industry. So, people who are rich often don't think logically. They want to fuck the money as much as they can, and they wonder why things are not looking so good. And they've got the power to do so much that us little people can't. And yeah, it's really bad. It's really dire. This coronavirus is shit. But what can we do? You know, we have to ride the ride, and that's it. Let's see what we've got here. I'm not really getting what I want, although I have got some good looking pieces that I could use. So I'm wondering which one is going to be the better. I'm actually thinking that one. We're going to stretch that bit there. Going to make it along that way. But basically, yeah, we've now got a pandemic that's really hard to control. And these rich people, you know, that decide they want to do what they want to do with their love of money. And now we have a pandemic and we have no way of stopping it in its tracks. We have to fucking ride the ride. I'm going to put it this way. I think this is the better way to go. So that's almost an A6. But basically, yeah, we now have a dreadful pandemic, and we have no way of controlling it except maybe to go into a mandatory lockdown. And this lockdown means all commercial activity will cease to, most of it will cease to happen. So, and that hasn't been called yet. I'm hoping the lockdown will happen soon, get the shit out of the way, to get this fuck out of the way, because I'm just getting really anxious about it, not being able to do everyday things, not being able to have a cup of coffee when I want to have one, just all this shit. Not being able to just have a normal existence. I'm actually thinking this looks shit. This looks shit, folks. I don't know why I'm doing it like that. I'm actually thinking maybe not this one. Maybe that one looks a bit better. But basically, yeah, I'm so over this pandemic. I'm actually wondering what are we going to do with this, folks? But I'm so over this coronavirus shit. I'm so over it, folks. I'm sick of it. I'm sick to fuck of it. It's on the news. It's on my news feed in the internet. I don't watch television, folks, but I still get the feed when on my phone and on my desktop. Of course, I've got to know a little bit about it and keep up with it a little bit, but the rest of the time it just depresses me that we have this horrible disease. No wonder we're going to use this. Maybe we can use that. So yeah, we just have to deal with this dreadful disease as best as we can. Hopefully, if they call if a lockdown is called, let me just tell you one thing that I've heard about lockdowns. With a lockdown, sure, you can't go to the coffee shop, you can't go and buy things like you normally would, but the good thing is the lockdown doesn't stop the trade of supermarkets, chemists, and doctors. So you're still allowed to do basic shit. So don't worry that you won't be able to get your meds or your pharmaceuticals or your food. You just go down to the shops and just do those things and go fucking home. I'm sure they probably have police enforcing the lockdown. So yeah, don't try anything smart. Although I'm not a person who likes the police as a general rule, you still have to obey them. You still have to do what they tell you to do, even though it's not fun. It's not fun, but you have to do it. This is the only way, if I'm correct, to stop this pandemic, to fucking get the hell of it out of our lives. So to stop this pandemic, we have to follow the authorities. Sounds like a bit like no fun, but I know I'm not a no fun person as a general rule, but I know that this is important. It's important for the whole of society as well as yourself. And yeah, you don't want to catch it, so they have to do this lockdown shit eventually. It will happen, I'm sure of it, folks. I'm sure it's going to happen. I'm still not getting the result I want from this. But basically, yeah, you just have to obey the rules, however unfun they might be. They are unfun. There is no fun in a coronavirus lockdown, but just face it, everything's going to be, except for the essentials that I've mentioned, and maybe others that are essential, it's going to be locked down, and you just have to obey the rules. But basically, it'll all be over. I'm optimistic that eventually we'll get this thing under control, and then once it's under control, we can all go have fun again. We'll all have fun, folks, once our coronavirus has run its course. Now I'm wondering why I can't get this thing to look any good. This is looking shit house, folks. So yeah, we just have to abide by the laws and the shit, the unfun rules, blah, blah, blah. But that's what's going to help us to have fun once we're finished, and we can all celebrate the end of the coronavirus. We can all celebrate, folks, as a world, as a nation, as a society. We can all have parties afterwards. Think of the parties we'll have once the coronavirus is over. Think of it, folks. You can all have fun. Fun times ahead, folks. You got to think positively. You got to think fucking optimistically about things. Yes, it's no fun at the moment having to deal with this stupid coronavirus, but at the same time, it is more fun to celebrate getting over it and live the lives that you want to live after this is all blown over. And it's going to blow over eventually, folks. You just have to fucking hang in there. Hang in there as much as you can, folks, until we see the back end of this shit. I'm not having a very successful time with this. But yeah, that's looking interesting. Still not what I want. I don't like having the hand visible. Wondering where the centre of this job is going to be. Wondering if we can use it or if we're going to try another one. Okay, let's just try again. But yeah, just think of all the fun we're going to have, folks. The post-corona parties we're going to hold. And yes, this might sound a bit corny, but maybe you should celebrate post-corona with a corona extra. I know that's a terrible joke. Corona beer, get it? There's a person at my work who calls it the Toyota virus because Toyota used to make models of car called Toyota Coronas. So he's got his own Corona joke. Now that looks really nice. I'm thinking we're going to use that. So yeah, you just have to hold your head up high, folks. Stay safe. Just keep yourselves clean of the shit as much as you can. Actually, that's not what we want. This is meant to be 104. Fuck. Fuck, I hate this dumb machine. It's really silly. But basically, yeah, you just have to keep safe and obey the rules. Sorry, folks, I sound like I'm a bit like the fun police, but we have to survive as a human race. We have to survive, folks. We have to keep our loved ones safe. Like especially, although I heard that with children can actually carry the disease and not actually get sick, but they can still make your parents sick. One of the guys at my work who has an elderly parent, I think it's his mum or something, well, he has to stay away from work because if he gets sick, he could make his parent get sick, his mum, and his mum could die because she's elderly. So, yeah, it's no fun for him because he loves his job. He really, really loves what he does, but he's had to go along and they've decided it's safer if he stays at home away from work until such thing as this shit blows over. I think that's going to be the centre. Yeah, so hopefully we will have parties. I don't know how long this horrible thing is going to go on for, but I'm hoping soon there'll be a celebration post-corona. But the problem is there's going to be a huge economic cost, so maybe a lot of people won't be in the mood still to party because they're picking up the pieces of where the corona has left, the trail of financial destruction. A lot of people have had to go for social security, making the Centrelink system overloaded because of all these poor people who need help. So it's not good. There's a lot of people who wouldn't normally have to get help, but now they have to. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of unemployed people because of this, and a lot of them won't just be the people who are already poor. It'll include large swathes of the middle class, and maybe even some people who are rich, maybe rich without large savings, but they have huge mortgages to pay off and shit. So it's going to really, really knock the economy around. So I don't think there's going to be much reason to celebrate based on those issues. But we've all got to somehow hope and pray that something good will happen, that somehow people who, I don't know how they're going to cope with all these people who've lost their jobs and shit and their businesses have gone under. But yeah, somehow we've got to believe that we can get through this together, folks, somehow. Anyway, this looks like a really interesting piece we've made finally. Yeah, I like it. I think now we can call this piece quits.